Part 23. My evil Imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant. Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 221. On that day, the three groups of alliances did not gain much. Entering the deep mountains, many swordsmen were looking for monsters everywhere, and the sixth-order monsters that appeared nearby were basically killed. Gu's group had already set off before dawn, vying around, hunting sixth-order monsters in the deep mountains between the two cities, and the points jumped quickly. When they saw that Lum Wan's group's points increased very slowly, they gloatingly guessed that Luoye and others were dragged down by a few people in Lum Wan's group, and secretly scolded, deserving it. As night fell, the sword masters flocked to the city in front of them. This is the second largest city closest to the central city. It has a wider area and a towering city wall, which is a little more solemn than the previous city. During the day, Luoye and others basically didn't do much, and they were more energetic. After tidying up in the room, they went to the restaurant in the city for dinner together. When the sword master reaches the sword king's cultivation level, he will be able to fast, and eating is just a habit or just to feel the atmosphere. Because of the presence of Luoye's group, although they were crowded at the hotel, they also booked a quiet private room. Lum Wan, these special dishes of Zizalo can only be eaten in the three big cities of the competition space. You can try it. Luo took a few chopsticks and placed the dishes in Lum Wan's bowl, his eyes burning, looking at her, as if asking for credit. Lum Wan lowered his head and took a bite, smiled and said, "It tastes good. This dish should be expensive, right?" "How do you know this dish is expensive?" Helian asked with a smile. "These special dishes in 11 Zalo are not for sale to the public. Only those who can order a private room can order them, and it depends on luck, and the daily limit is limited." Lum Wan came from the small country of Yanzhou. Naturally, she couldn't book a private room, and it didn't look like she had eaten it. He was very curious about how she guessed the price. These dishes are all cooked with sixth-order monsters, and have added a lot of spirit herbs and spirit fruits to taste. After eating, not only the taste is good, but there is also a heat flow with UN energy lingering in the meridians. It's a good thing to quickly replenish your physical strength. Lum Wan tasted it and knew what spirit fruit and spirit grass was added to the dish, but he was more careful about 11 Zalo. When Ye Qinghan was in Loxi City, Ye Qinghan had introduced her to 11 Zalo's strength, but she didn't expect it to reach this level. She put down her chopsticks and was silent for a moment. "What are you thinking?" Luo saw that she didn't seem to be reminiscing about the taste of the dishes. "I suddenly remembered a few friends, and I don't know how they are in the competition space." Lum Wan raised her eyes and said with a smile. "Friend? Man," Luo blurted out. Lum Wan nodded, "Yes." In this way, it seems that she doesn't know many female friends, and Ye Qinghan can't help but sigh that her relationship with women is not good. Luo's long and narrow eyes flickered slightly and changed the topic. "It seems that we have to leave the city early tomorrow, otherwise the monsters will be robbed by them. You won't earn many points if you go out of the city during the day. Why don't we just catch the night?" Lum Wan suggested enthusiastically. "If you want to get natural, you have to pay. It is not easy to rush into the top 10. Now, to earn points quickly, you can only take the night road and find the beast hordes to kill. The night road here is not so easy to catch. Even a small beast swarm is difficult to deal with, basically composed of sixth-order monsters." Helian also wanted to earn points, but he remained rational. It is not difficult for their group to deal with less than 100 sixth-order monsters, but if they encounter 300 or 400 sixth-order monsters, they absolutely have to run for their lives. Lum Wan tapped lightly on the table with his fingers. "I have a way to deal with small and medium-sized beast swarms, and large swarms can be avoided, so it's worth taking a little risk." Helian pursed his lips when he heard her say that, thinking, if he continued like this, he was afraid that he would fall out of the 100th place, and he would be suspended in the next round. If he took such an adventure, he could try it. He didn't make an immediate decision but looked up at Luo Ye. Luo Ye sat up straight. No matter how he restrained his noble temperament, he couldn't hide his Tsinghua suit. He took a sip from his teacup and said, "I agree to take risks." His current ranking is just 15th, which is too far from the target he set. He originally planned to take the risk of finding the 7th order monsters to kill and earn points when he was in the central area. Now, the risk of Lum Wan's proposal should be less. Luo Ye's group had seen Lum Wan and several others blocking the beast tide with their own eyes, and they had no doubts about her words. "Okay, then let's go after eating." Helian Li's lips raised an arc in a dashing manner. Lum Wan got up and said to several people, "I want to go to the medicine store in the city to buy some spiritual herbs. Are you going together? Or will we gather at the city gate later?" "Let's go together." Luo Li immediately stood up. The others didn't have much interest in eating at all, so they got up together to accompany her to buy spirit grass. After arriving at the largest elixir shop in the city, Lum Wan used a handful of Luo Li's name to let the shopkeeper take out all the spirit herbs that could be sold. The precious high-grade spirit grasses in the store can only be bought by noble families and royal families with great national heritage. She picked out 90% of the spirit grasses. "I want all of them. How much do you count?" The shopkeeper was startled when he saw it. He had been stationed in Danpu for 3 competitions, and this was the first time he had encountered such a customer. "Okay, wait a minute, miss." The shopkeeper picked up the list and checked them one by one. On the way, he gave a waiter in the store a vague look and asked him to report to Elder Xiao. "Lum Wan, are you not sick?" Helian Li was really shocked by his bold behavior. "Is this woman crazy? Why do you buy so much spirit grass? Wouldn't you be thinking of taking it out for resale?" Lum Wan rolled his eyes at him. "You are sick. You don't want to buy these spirit grasses and resell them outside, right? Most of the spirit grasses here are grown in space, and it's hard to find them outside. In fact, some people have thought about reselling it for a long time, but other people's dan shops are not stupid. If there is a price difference, they will not make any money, so that the sword masters who participate in the competition will catch this loophole and make a profit. Dream. Let me tell you, the price of spirit grass here is higher than outside. If you want to sell it, don't waste your spirit," Helian Li reminded. Lum Wan glanced at him. "Do you think I'm so boring?" She is not a fool, and Danlu will not allow such a thing, and she doesn't have so much energy to do it. If she is short of money, she can just sell the few pills, and she will waste time by reselling it. The reason why she bought the spirit grass in the competition space was because she had to refine a large amount of medicinal herbs for Lu's family after returning. Moreover, the variety of spirit grass here is complete. If you go out and buy it in a store, you may not be able to find some spirit grass. Even if it is more expensive now, it saves time and trouble." Seeing her displeased, Helian Li twitched the corners of his mouth. "Isn't it boring to buy so many spirit herbs? Miss, the total price of the spirit grass you want to buy has been calculated. It will cost 28 million purple gold coins in total." The shopkeeper of the Dan shop handed a price list to Lum Wan and said with a smile. Lum Wan frowned when she heard the number. She only had less than 1 million purple gold coins in her hand, not even a fraction. The more advanced the spirit grass is, the more expensive it is, but it doesn't matter if you can buy it with money, she naturally won't feel distressed. "Treasurer, I don't have so many purple gold coins with me now, can I exchange it with medicinal pills?" Lum Wan asked with a smile after thinking about it. Before the shopkeeper could speak, there was a mocking laugh from behind. "My evil imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant." Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 222. Before the shopkeeper could speak, there was a mocking laugh from behind. It's the first time I've heard of anyone who dares to exchange medicinal herbs for spirit grass at the pill shop under the pill building, and the banman even came to the pill shop with an axe. What a daring act! Lum Wan followed this unfamiliar voice and looked up and forgot about the past, only to see a tall, indistinguishable male and female man walking in from the door of the store, but that peach-colored dress looked like he was wearing it. Incredible package. The man's mocking voice didn't actually sound malicious, it just seemed to come out of feeling. "Si Nan, you're really a dog who is meddling with a mouse," Luoli said impolitely when he saw the person who came. Lum Wan looked at Luoli amusingly, this kitten was so easy to get angry. Si Nan and Luoli have always disliked each other the most. He ignored Luoli, instead approached Lum Wan and looked at Lum Wan, and said leisurely, "First-class appearance, first-class body, first-class temperament, it's a pity that the cultivation base is too poor. Inflow." After he finished speaking, he also showed a look of regret. The most important thing is that after staying with Luoli for a long time, he has become so naive that he even wants to exchange medicinal herbs for spirit grass. Hey! It's a pity. Miss Lu, do you know that this elixir shop is the property of the elixir building? The sale of spirit herbs is just an incidental, and the sale of elixir is the point. If you don't have the money to buy spirit grass, Luoli is a big fool. Why play with the shopkeeper of the pill shop? Si Nan looked like I was doing it for you, but what he said was very demanding. The smile on Lum Wan's face did not change, but there was not much warmth in his eyes. Quack. She could see that Si Nan and Luoli didn't deal with it, and let her suppress Luo Xiao. Not too lazy to argue with this kind of finding fault, 3 golden needles flew out of her sleeves and shot at Si Nan in unison. A bit of surprise appeared in Si Nan's eyes, and he picked up the folding fan in his hand and injected UN force to block it. But the 3 gold needles went straight through his folding fan and shot towards his neck. He didn't have time to take the sword, so he hurriedly resisted with the wind of his palms, knocking down 2 gold needles, but another gold needle pierced through the gap between his fingers and stabbed him below the collarbone. He widened his eyes, only to feel that his body was numb and he lost his intuition. "What did you do to me?" he exclaimed in disbelief. "The speed of this woman's golden needle is too fast, the force is fast and accurate, and the material for refining the golden needle is also unparalleled, otherwise it is impossible to shoot through his top-grade spirit treasure. The most important thing is that after his cultivation base was stabbed by a gold needle from that woman, his whole body would be paralyzed, and the energy in his body seemed to be frozen. This was the first time he had encountered such a thing." Lum Wan waved, and one of the 3 gold needles disappeared into her sleeve, and the others did not see it clearly. "Just to shut you up," Lum Wan gave him a cold look and ignored him. "Hey, did you poison me? Why are you such a stingy woman? I'll just talk about it casually, why do you play such a vicious hand on me? You." Lum Wan frowned and considered whether to block the mouth of this saucy bag, it was really louder than Bingji. She didn't realize it herself, but the act of immobilizing Si Nan shocked everyone in the store. Si Nan is not only the leader of the elite superpower team, but his cultivation is the pinnacle of the Sword Emperor. It is too frightening that this woman can use a hidden weapon to immobilize him. Luoli blinked his eyes and turned around Muan's arm. "How did you stop him? This is also amazing, how could he not know that Lum Wan still has this kind of magic?" Lum Wan turned her head and smiled and winked at him. "Would you like to try it too?" Luoli shuddered and laughed dryly. "Forget it, let this bitch Si Nan enjoy himself." Si Nan's teammates were stunned, and a pharmacist walked up to him and quickly checked. Lum Wan turned her head and asked the shopkeeper with a smile, "Don't your pill shop accept pills?" According to her understanding, all the pill shops in Tianling Continent's pill building not only sell pills but also buy pills. It's just because the reputation of the pill building and the refining pavilion is too loud, there are basically no swordsmen who come to the pill building or the refining pavilion to sell medicine pills or magic weapons, so Lum Wan's move to exchange the medicine pill for the spirit grass will attract people. Sinan's mockery. Except, of course, the shopkeeper was stunned for a moment and immediately returned to his senses. He was also a little worried about this woman who seemed to have a low cultivation base. He didn't forget that Sinan, who was cultivated by the Sword Sovereign, was fixed by her with a single shot. I don't know what kind of medicine the girl wants to use instead. In fact, he didn't have a clue. When Lum Wan wanted to change the medicinal herbs for spirit herbs, he also had the same idea as Sinan, but he didn't say it. But just now, after she used a golden needle to restrain Sinan, it showed that she was hiding, and that she did it on purpose to show him and others, in order to act as a deterrent. Now he just wanted to see what kind of medicine she could come up with in exchange for those spirit herbs. Lum Wan took out 2 porcelain vases from the space ring and introduced, there are 2 kinds of third-grade medicinal pills here. One is called Yuan pill, which can cultivate Yuan and consolidate one's roots, and improve their cultivation. Another kind of medicinal pill is called Huiling pill, and a sword master who is a sword emperor can restore at least 2/3 of his body's Yuan energy by taking one pill. What? The shopkeeper showed disbelief after hearing her introduction. How can that be? The Yuan pill, which has a similar effect to the Ning Yuan pill, is already surprising, and the effect of the Huiling pill is too miraculous, and he doubts it? The shopkeeper, if you take a closer look, you'll know Lum Wan handed the 2 porcelain vases to the shopkeeper and said with a light smile. The shopkeeper took the bottle and opened one of the porcelain bottles. A quiet medicinal fragrance emanated from the bottle, which filled the surroundings with just a few breaths. With a nervous expression on his face, he immediately closed the bottle cap and opened another bottle. The medicinal fragrance exuded this time was sweet, but just smelling it made people feel that the Yuan force in the body was replenished. Mrs. Medicinal pills cannot be judged. Can you ask me to ask the appraiser of this building to appraise 1 or 2? The shopkeeper put the cap on the other bottle and looked at Lum Wan carefully and asked. At this moment, all the doubts in the shopkeeper's heart dissipated, and he had a little more respect for Lum Wan, who was able to come up with such a pill. Okay, you can take it, Lum Wan nodded, but please hurry up, I have something to do tonight. Okay, wait a moment, miss. After speaking, the shopkeeper hurried up to the 2nd floor. At this time, the eyes of the sword masters who bought the medicinal pills and spirit grass in the pill building were completely different from the previous ones. Sinan's body recovered from paralysis at this time, and he also smelled the medicinal fragrance of the 2 medicinal herbs. He can be sure that the medicinal pill called Yuan pill is more effective than the high-quality condensing Yuan pill of pill building, and that the unheard of spirit returning pill is even more of an ordinary quality. Moving his numb body, he leaned in front of Lum Wan with a coquettish smile and cupped his hands. Miss Lu's golden needle technique is truly extraordinary, and Sinan admires it. Lum Wan took a step back, glanced at Sinan, who was approaching with disgust, raised his eyebrows and asked Luo Li, is he not sick? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My evil imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world. BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant. Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 223. Is he not sick? When Sinan heard Lum Wan say this, he couldn't help twitching the corners of his mouth. How could such a handsome man look like he was sick? Yes, he is sick, poisonous, narcissistic, nervous. Luo Li nodded in agreement. Sinan glared at Luo Li, who had fallen into trouble, and he knew that every time he saw this kid, it was not good. Miss Lu, I misunderstood you just now. I apologize. I will hold a banquet in Zazalo tomorrow to apologize to the girl. What do you think? Lum Wan glanced at him. This man changed his face faster than flipping through a book, with a deep mind, able to bend and stretch. Not interested, Lum Wan refused. She didn't want to have anything to do with Si Nan. This guy's purpose is definitely not pure. Don't. Miss Lu, if you don't know each other, let's make friends, Si Nan said with a cheeky smile. The corners of the mouths of the team members behind him twitched, and the leader began to fall ill again. The leader of a dignified superpower, why did he humbly with a little girl? The bad taste is definitely coming again. Seeing that the slut was getting closer, Luo Li frowned in front of Lum Wan and said, Si Nan, stay away from Lum Wan, you shameless bastard. Luo Li, won't you be itchy if you don't hit you for a few days? Si Nan opened the gold leaf fan that was pierced by Lum Wan's gold needle and shook it. Looking at the posture of the two, it is normal to fight frequently. Lum Wan saw that the two quarreled even though they met, and wanted to do it, but neither of them had the slightest murderous intent in their bodies or eyes. It seemed that they were the kind of friends who wanted to kill each other. Luo Li rolled up his sleeves and hummed, come on. Let's fight too, and you can go out to the competition space to drink tea in a while. Lum Wan threw out a sentence leisurely. The two were startled, and each snorted coldly and no longer prepared to do it. Even if it is just a sparring in the refuge city, it will be judged as a fight, and no matter who it is, it will be disqualified from the competition. Si Nan wanted to talk to Lum Wan but was blocked by Luo Li, and Lum Wan ignored him at all. The regret in his heart. In fact, he was not malicious when he was born and taunted Lum Wan, he just wanted to see if Luo Li really valued her as he was rumored to be. He and Luo Li do not know each other, attacking each other on the surface, but in private they are actually the best friends. He didn't go to the last trade fair. During the day, he heard Mutong and Luo Qinghe say that Luo Li was being played around by a woman. Tonight, he happened to hear Lum Wan's shameless words, so he couldn't help but want to test it out. Who knew, but tried it on the iron plate. This woman named Lum Wan is definitely not as superficial as Luo Qinghe and the others said, neither her calm temperament nor the self-confidence she unconsciously revealed in her expression. Mediocre. Especially after Lum Wan took out 2 kinds of medicinal pills, he even scolded Luo Qinghe and others in his heart. Who would have thought that a disciple from the Luo family branch would dare to blackmail Luo Li behind his back? Luo Qinghe and Mutong were spreading rumors today while hunting, saying that you were fascinated by a woman who claimed to be a high-level sommelier, and only a fool like you would believe it. Si Nan's stabbing ability is absolutely top-notch. They also said that you spent a lot of money for that small country woman surnamed Lu, not only collecting Linko and sending Lingxi, but also giving her Tian Hanjinjing to exchange for a dead one. Soul Tree. I will be filled with righteous indignation after hearing this. I just heard that Miss Lu said that she would use medicinal herbs for spirit herbs, so I couldn't help but want to try it, because I was afraid that you would be deceived. Seeing Luo Li's gloomy face, Si Nan immediately added, testing. The results show that those people are absolutely slander, so much that even I almost believed it. Most of what he said was true, and he bluntly said that he was tempting Lum Wan just now, but it made people feel disgusted. Lum Wan took a few glances at Si Nan. This man was mean and dark, but he could tell right from wrong when he was doing things, and he was not shy to admit when he was wrong, which made her resentment towards him lessened a bit. Luo Qinghe, the one who eats the inside and the outside, must clear the door when the young master sees him next time. Luo Li had already seen Luo Qinghe's sanctimonious hypocrite as disgusting, but he didn't expect to see him spare his life for the Luo family's sake, but that person dared to ruin his and Lum Wan's reputation everywhere, damn it. The murderous intent flashed in Luo Li's eyes. Luo Qinghe not only had a big heart, but slandering Luo Li like that had violated his bottom line. Lum Wan, I didn't mean to tell you that you can make spirit wine. Luo Li was afraid that Lum Wan would anger him when he heard Si Nan's words. Lum Wan was slandered by the people who went out of the Luo family and Mutong, and he was more angry than anyone else. Lum Wan smiled indifferently, it's okay, I know you won't hurt me. Luo Li took the spirit wine she sent to Luo Ye that day, and then Luo King he was left alone. I think that person said something bad about him before being driven away by Luo Li. Well, I'm definitely not going to hurt you. Luo Li's heart turned sweet when he heard Lum Wan trust him like this. Lum Wan smiled. She already regarded Luo Li as the kitten she kept, and she had an inexplicable trust in him and included him in her own category. Si Nan saw that the relationship between the two did not seem to be fake, and he could see that Luo Li was really interested in Shang Lum Wan, but Lum Wan looked at Luo Li, but there was no but pampering. At this time, the shopkeeper hurriedly walked down from the second floor and said to Lum Wan with a smile, "Miss, the elders of the Dan building invite you to speak on the second floor." Lum Wan nodded. "You have Lao to lead the way." The shopkeeper didn't stop Luo Li and the others following him. Lum Wan wasn't afraid to expose himself. Naturally, he wouldn't be a bad person. Si Nan had a tendency to join in the fun, so he raised his feet and followed, but the other swordsmen were itching to see this, but they did not dare to follow. Luo Li and Si Nan are also called the Little Overlord and Rogue in the superpower, and they will definitely not be able to eat and walk away when they provoke them. Lum Wan didn't mind revealing her identity as an alchemist. Since she knew that there were people from 6 major sects and other major forces paying attention to this world, she no longer kept a low profile. This was a way to increase her bargaining power. On the second floor, the shopkeeper led them into the innermost room. In the room, sandalwood was smoky, and a sober scent lingered. There was an elegant old man sitting in it, the elder Xiao who appeared at the trade fair before. "Miss Lu, we meet again." Elder Xiao slowly opened his closed eyes, and a gleam of light flashed across his eyes quickly. In front of him were 2 white porcelain vases, which were Lum Wan's elixir. Lum Wan smiled and said, "Hello, Elder Xiao." "Miss, please take a seat." Elder Xiao nodded kindly to her. Then he turned his attention to Luo Li and the others. "Miss Lu and I have something to say. If you have anything to do, you can leave first." Inside and outside the words are the meaning of chasing people. But some people pretended not to understand, and Si Nan grinned beside Elder Xiao and said, "We're not busy. My evil imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant." Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 224. We're not busy. Si Nan's face has long since become inaccessible. He sat down with a smile and looked like I wasn't leaving. Seeing that he wasn't leaving, Luo Li glared at him and sat down beside Lum Wan politely. "We're not busy either. There are only 1 table and 5 chairs in total. At this time, 3 of them have been occupied. Although Helian Li's face is not as thick as Sis, it is not much thinner, so he has 1 S." Seeing this, Elder Xiao laughed and instructed the shopkeeper, "Let someone bring some chairs here." Naturally, he couldn't favor others over these 3 shameless layers. Since they all want to stay, they should stay together. Anyway, Lum Wan doesn't care, so he can be considered a favor. "Elder Xiao, can my medicinal herbs be exchanged for those spirit herbs?" Lum Wan didn't go around in circles with him, they still had to travel at night. Elder Xiao smiled meaningfully and asked, "Can this old man ask how you got this young lady from the medicine hall?" When Lum Wan took out the 3rd grade medicinal pill at the trade fair that day, he could smell the pure medicinal herb, but he didn't think she made it by herself. "It was given by my master." Lum Wan smiled lightly. "Her current cultivation base is too low, and no one will believe that she is refining the medicinal herbs. It is better to continue to pull the tiger skin as a banner, so that these old foxes are afraid." Elder Xiao was stunned for a moment, then said with a gentle smile, "I don't know how holy Miss Lu's master is. There are not many alchemists in the entire Tianling continent who can make such a high-grade medicine pill." The pills that Lum Wan took out were all 3rd grade top-grade pills, and the pills lasted for a very long time. Compared with the 3rd grade pills made by Danlu 4th grade alchemists, the alchemy techniques were more sophisticated. He really wanted to make friends with one another. 2. Sorry, without the permission of the master, I dare not reveal his identity. Lum Wan did not report the name of the old man Tianxian this time. Elder Xiao showed some regret but also understood that some high-level alchemists like to keep a low profile. Since this old man doesn't force it, are you buying these spirit grasses for your master? Judging from the information he had collected recently, Lum Wan would scrape all the spirit grasses in the pill shop every time she entered the competition space. Apart from this reason, he couldn't figure out why she bought so many spirit grasses. Yes, when I entered the competition space, the master asked me to buy more spirit grass from the pill shop. Lum Wan showed a little shyness. I didn't take the amethyst card given by the master at the time. Who knows, the spirit grass is so expensive, and I can only exchange it for medicinal pills. When Luo Li and others saw her showing such an expression, they couldn't help but stroke their foreheads. This girl's acting skills are also top-notch. The value of your 2 medicinal herbs has already exceeded the list of spirit herbs you requested before. I will ask the shopkeeper to add 30% of the spirit herbs and medicinal herbs for you to be of equal value. Elder Xiao did not take advantage of the younger generation. The elixir that Lum Wan took out was indeed very valuable, especially the kind of spirit returning elixir. According to his experience, after taking it, it could indeed achieve the effect she said. Then many thanks to Elder Xiao. Lum Wan smiled humbly. I don't know if you still have these 2 medicinal herbs to sell or exchange for spirit herbs. I can transfer the spirit herbs in the central city for you to buy. He was going to bring the medicinal herbs back to the pill building for research. Is too little. Lum Wan smiled into crescent-shaped eyes. Okay. I just don't know that the elixir shop in the central city is the same as here. Elder Xiao wanted to give her 2 more pills. She was not worried that they would use it to study the spirit herbs in the pills. She didn't have this confidence, and she didn't need to mix in the alchemy world. The purchase of a large amount of spirit grass in the central city is bound to attract more people's attention. Now that Elder Xiao himself brought it up, why should she not do it? This is a list of all the spirit grasses sold by Danlu in the competition space. See if there are any that need to be replaced. Elder Xiao took out a jade slip and handed it to Lum Wan. Lum Wan took the jade slip and checked it again, and found that there are many high-level spirit grasses in it. Not to mention the price is extremely expensive, and you need a certain identity to buy it in limited quantities. Can the limited amount of spirit grass be replaced? Lum Wan asked with a smile. Since Elder Xiao wants to give her preferential treatment, he will naturally not object. Yes. What Lum Wan was waiting for was his answer. After he crossed out several kinds of spirit grasses that were of little use, he said, I want all the spirit grasses except the ones that were crossed out. Elder Xiao took a look, and his eyelids jumped instantly. This girl's handwriting is too big, but he does have this authority. Although it's a little troublesome, but I can get it all together. Let's trade when you get to the central area, Elder Xiao said. How many pills do I need to change? Lum Wan asked. Elder Xiao stroked the porcelain vase on the table, thought about it, and said, 6 willing pills and 3 Yuan pills. Hey. I originally planned to keep 2 more spares, but now I have to lose money for the sake of the master. Lum Wan agreed with gritted teeth in pain. The number of transactions that Elder Xiao proposed was very reasonable, and he did not deceive her, which also made her impression of Danlu a little higher. I'll give these 6 willing pills and 3 Yuan pills to Elder Xiao first, and then I'll go to the pill shop to pick up the spirit herbs. After waiting for the central city, Lum Wan took out several bottles of pills very generously. Elder Xiao said with a smile on his face, little girl has courage. Aren't you afraid that the old man will be fooled when the time comes? Elder Xiao seems to have a sense of righteousness, and naturally he won't make any act of cheating or breach of contract. I believe in my own judgment. Lum Wan's eyes were clarified, and he smiled naturally. The words come from the heart without the slightest falsehood. Elder Xiao was taken aback for a moment, and then he laughed happily. You are a lovable girl. He has been paying attention to this little girl Lum Wan since the first time he saw her. In addition, she has a very light medicinal fragrance on her body. She must be an alchemist, and it also gives Elder Xiao a kind of intimacy of elders looking at younger ones. Listening to Elder Xiao's conversation, the look of the people present varied from Miss Lu to a little girl. Elder Xiao is notoriously difficult to approach, but he did not expect Lum Wan to have his eye. This pill tower order has been given to you. When you arrive at the central city, take it to the pill shop, and someone will send you the spirit grass you want. Elder Xiao reported a slap-sized cyan token in a good mood and threw it to the pill shop. Lum Wan. Lum Wan took the token and looked at it. There was a complicated pattern engraved on the token, and the word Dan was reflected in the center of the pattern. Seeing Elder Xiao take out the cyan token, Sinan and Helian Li couldn't help showing shock and envy in their eyes. Then I'm welcome, thank you Elder Xiao. Although Lum Wan didn't know the use of this token, she knew it was a good thing when she saw the eyes of Sinan and the others. Seeing her accept it without hypocrisy, her beautiful eyes squinted slightly, like a little fox stealing fishy, and Elder Xiao loves her a little more. Luo Li and several others were also dazzled by her smart smile. My evil imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant. Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 225. After leaving the pill shop, Sinan followed a few people along the way. No matter how Luo Li hit him, he would not leave. Luo Li, what's the use of the pill tower order that Elder Xiao gave me just now? Lum Wan asked Luo Li next to him. Luo Li pushed aside Sinan who was about to come over and said, pill tower order is a good thing. After you take it, you will not only get discounts when you go to all the properties in the Dan Tower to buy things, but you can also buy pills that are sold in limited quantities that require an identity threshold. Medicine or spirit herbs. It's useless. Other than that, Lum Wan always felt that the blue token was not that simple. Anyone who holds a pill tower can enjoy VIP level treatment, and it is unclear how to enjoy it. Luo Li shrugged. It is very difficult to issue a pill tower, and only the elders who hold real power in the pill tower. It is only qualified to give it, but everyone who has obtained the pill tower order is said to be very powerful in identity or strength. It sounds similar to the Order of the Underworld Alliance. Lum Wan sounded that there was still an Order of the Underworld Alliance lying in the space ring. Helian Li said in surprise, you don't know the Pill Tower Order, you know the Underworld Alliance Order. Is it weird? Lum Wan asked. Helian Li said, the decree of the Underworld Alliance should be more effective than the Order of Danlu, and the number of gifts is less. In our country, there are only 2 strong people who have the Order of the Underworld Alliance. The Pill Tower has the Pill Tower Order, and the Underworld Alliance Chamber of Commerce will have the Underworld Alliance Order. Does the Refining Pavilion also have any tokens? Lum Wan asked with a slight smile. Sinan squeezed Helian Li's handsome face away, revealing a brilliant smile. I know this, the Refining Pavilion naturally also has a Fire Pavilion Order. Lum Wan nodded lightly, thinking about when to get another Fire Pavilion to play. Seeing that Lum Wan had a bad face towards him, Sinan touched his nose and looked helpless. Wasn't he being tricked by Luo Qinghe and others? Several people quickly walked out of the city and rushed towards the largest city closest to the central city. Are you going to travel at night? Sinan asked in surprise when he found that the 3 groups of people were traveling at a very fast speed after they left the city. Luo Li gave him a white look. Why not? We won't be entertaining you if we have to hurry. You should go back to the city. You 3 teams are united. Sinan looked at him and asked. As long as your eyes are not blind, you can see it. Luo Li snorted coldly. Sinan's long and narrow eyes were full of brilliance, and he smiled and said, add us to a group. You didn't find Mo Ling and Yanjun alliance? Luo Li raised his eyebrows and asked. Mo Ling is too cold and boring. Yanjun disappeared for no apparent reason 5 days ago. I don't know why. Don't talk nonsense, You shameless bastard, who is your buddy? Luo Li took a few steps away from him with a look of disgust. Okay, I'm serious, I'll join your alliance too. Nan was looking at Luo Ye when he said this. Luo Ye's clear voice echoed in the night, and it was very pleasant. I don't care. Nan immediately turned his attention to Lum Weian. Miss Lu, what do you think? I don't care either. Lum Weian glanced at him and replied coldly. Nan found that his masculine charm didn't have any advantage in front of Lum Weian, but it doesn't matter, it means it's okay, then we have formed an alliance from now on. Nan, have you asked me to agree? Helian Li played with the folding fan in his hand, then glanced at the gold leaf fan in Nan's hand, and pouted, this man is really a coward. Nan raised his eyebrows. They all agreed, your opinion is not important. Humph, Luo Li is right, you are so annoying, Helian Li snorted coldly. Then Luo Li also joined the scolding battle against Nan, and the three of you came and went in a sarcastic and cheerful manner. Lum Weian smiled speechlessly. The friendship between the three was really wonderful. There is a wave of medium-sized beasts gathering 2 kilometers ahead. Mo Yan's voice echoed in Lum Weian's ears. Lum Weian's eyes lit up, and she said to everyone, there is a medium-sized beast tied 2 kilometers ahead, it's time to earn points. After she finished speaking, she nodded her toes, and disappeared from the field of vision as a streamer in the black clothes. Yunzimo and the others did not hesitate, and accelerated towards the direction of her disappearance. Seeing Luo Li and others speeding up, Nan was taken aback. What do you mean there is a medium-sized beast tied ahead, and it's time to earn points? Wouldn't it be what he thought? Of course I'm going to kill the beast horde to earn points, idiot. Luo Li glanced at him and ignored it, and he, and Luo Ye and the others also disappeared. Take the initiative to find the beast tied to kill? Are you all crazy? Sinan turned to look at Helian Li, who was about to catch up. Helian Li curled his lips. I also think they are crazy, but they are very exciting, maybe you will like them too. After answering, without waiting for Sidhu to react, the elite team with Dong Sunqiu also rushed forward. Hey, they were completely influenced by that woman named Lum Weian, and they can think of such crazy things, said a team member behind Nan. Another frowned and asked, then shall we go with you? Nan's eyes were as deep as the sea, and his face rarely showed seriousness. After pondering, he waved his hand and said, follow, why not? Helian Li's treacherous temper can't wait to chase after me, it must be profitable. Several other people thought about it too. Luo Li was fascinated by beautiful women and could understand without reason, but Luo Ye and Helian Li couldn't both be hot-headed. So a pair of people quickly followed. As soon as they approached the beast horde, Nan's group was completely stunned by the sight in front of them. Countless walls of fire rose into the sky ahead, dividing the gathered monsters into more than a dozen small waves, and a small black flag was constantly shaking in the sky. At this time, Luo Ye and the others fell into different fire walls to kill the monsters that were divided into small waves. Even the humble team that followed Lum Weian killed the monsters was unambiguous. Every time he strikes, he is basically quick, accurate, and ruthless, and he specializes in finding the weak points of the monsters. At first glance, he looks like a very experienced hunter. This kind of thing has definitely been done more than once. The most dazzling thing is that Lum Weian controls the formation, and at the same time controls 10 golden flying swords to shuttle among the 6th order monsters. Kill a monster whose cultivation is higher than her. The woman's figure is like a ghost, and her lavender clothes are more noble and mysterious, just like Shura from hell, with a strange beauty in the night and fire. Come on, is this still a woman? A team member behind Nan smacked his tongue when he saw that Lum Weian could kill the 6th order monster with hand-to-hand combat. How domineering one of the men sighed. When Luo Li saw that Nan and his group were coming, he did not help, but stood and looked at Lum Weian. His face darkened and roared, Nan, what are you looking at? You shameless person. Why don't you come and help? Only then did Sinan and the others return to their senses, and rushed into the battle circle to join in the slaughter of monsters. Because the 4 teams were all very powerful, it only took 2 hours to harvest this wave of medium-sized beasts. Under Mo Yan's investigation, they killed 3 waves of small beasts that night, and the points skyrocketed, attracting the attention of many forces. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My evil imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 226. When it was already bright, the 4 teams of talents dragged their tired bodies to the first largest refuge city in the competition space except the central city. On the city tower, Gu looked at the 20 or so people who had just entered the city. Their points are growing so fast, could it be that they are traveling at night? Mouton stared at Lum Wen with a gloomy expression. This woman is really a fox. Not only did she seduce the 2 brothers Luo Li, but even Helian Li and Sinan's attitude towards her was very unusual. Gu took out the dark purple jade card and glanced at it. The points rankings of those people had risen a lot. Luo Li and Lum Wen, who had already dropped out of 40, rushed back to 30 in just one night. Looking at how tired they are, it should be a night of bloody battles. Let's go out of the city to hunt and guard, and we can't let them exceed the points. Gu put away the jade card and fell under the city wall. The rest of their group also jumped out of the city and rushed towards a deep mountain in the distance. As soon as Lum Wen and his party entered the city, they were concerned by various forces, and they ignored it. They went to Rong Ziguo's inn and began to recover. When night fell, the doors of the small courtyard opened one after another, and 4 groups of people went out to hunt in groups. Mo Ling stood in a high place, arrogant and lonely. He watched Luo Ye and his party leave, and there was a strange color in his calm eyes. Young master, Luo Ye and the others seemed to have changed the hunting time tonight, a man behind him said. After a while, Mo Ling said, I'm observing for a day. Yes. Lum Wen and the others did not rush towards the last target, Central City. The nearby monsters often haunted the 7th order monsters, and if they accidentally provoked the 7th order small beast tide, it would be troublesome. The Central City generally starts to gather crowds in the last 10 days. At that time, the competition for points has become a subsidiary, and everyone's purpose is to compete for the status jade. That night, their harvest was not too big, and they only intercepted 4 waves of small beasts. When dawn returned to the city, the number of spies outside the inn where they lived gradually increased. Let's rest during the day today, and let's go see what tricks they are playing at night. Gu looked at the name that changed last night on the jade card, his eyes sank. If it went on like this, they would not be able to keep the top 10 positions. Mutong wanted to kill Lum Wen in the wild for a long time, and there was a cruel look on her beautiful face. Tonight I will smash that despicable and charming woman into tens of thousands of pieces. Gu frowned slightly as she looked at her, but the cold and arrogant woman in white suddenly appeared in her mind. He sighed and shook hands. Power and strength are more important. When Lum Wen and the others set out from the city at night, there were more than 10 groups of people behind them secretly. They are following us. Do you want to kill them all? Sinan's indistinguishable handsome face showed a wicked smile, and even made a gesture of wiping his neck. Luo Li gave him a white look. Gu and Mo Ling's elite team are also following. You go up first and kill the 2, and we will clean up the rest. Gu is not my opponent. Mo Ling is a bit tricky. I'm afraid that it can only be done by Lord Luo. Sinan analyzed seriously. Luo Ye didn't pay him any attention at all. Mo Ling was so good at killing that he wouldn't have become famous in the first battle when he was a teenager. If you are really sick, they are probably just trying to see how we hunted monsters at night, and we didn't make a sneak attack. It's not justifiable for us to take the initiative to kill them. If we can't kill them, we will set up a few big enemies. Luo Li glanced suspiciously at Sinan. You shameless and impure scheming, are you trying to kill Mo Ling with my brother's hand? Sinan rolled his eyes. How could he just make a random comment and become impure? Yeah, who asked Mo Ling to insult me before thinking of the last time he fought against Mo Ling and was injured by the opponent? He felt a surge of anger, and one day he would find a way to fight that cold-faced ghost. If Mo Ling heard what you said now, it would definitely make you die miserably, Luo Li sneered. Sinan's shameless brain is definitely sick. There is a medium-sized beast swarm in the east, but this time, there are two 7th-order monsters leading it. Lum Wan looked into the distance and said the situation of Mo Yan's demon sense. Luo Ye raised his hand and calculated, you can go. Sinan, it's time to play your role. Luo Li put his hand on Sinan's shoulder with a good smile, and he should let this shameless man deal with the 7th-order monster. Sinan raised his chin arrogantly. Is this young master afraid? Seeing that the two were still arguing at the critical moment, Helian Li immediately interrupted, stop arguing and get down to business. Do we still use the previous strategy with so many people following? Seeing everyone looking at him, Helian Li asked immediately. Lum Wan swept the back casually, and shrugged indifferently, of course, otherwise how can you earn points? If those people follow and don't kill them, their points will definitely fall again. We rest during the day and work at night, and the points increase so fast, it is normal to be targeted. Luo Ye took the first step, let's go. Although Helian Li and the others were a little worried about the dozen or so team members behind, this was the only way to increase their points. It was better than going to the central city to hunt and kill 7th-order demon cultivators. Good points. Follow. Seeing Luo Ye able to speed up the pace, GU and other more than 10 elite teams couldn't bear to follow. Hoo hoo. The roars of countless high-level monsters resounded throughout the canyon, as if they were already ready for battle. Be careful tonight, those two 7th-order monsters seemed to have come prepared. Mo Yan's eyes were light, and the two metamorphosis stage monsters were just like ants to him. Lum Wan looked at him with a smile, do you want to be majestic? I'm not interested, unless it's a matter of life and death, I will never take action. Mo Yan closed his eyes and rested. Bing Ji pouted, scolding inwardly, what are you pulling? It seems like it can easily strangle a 7th-order demon cultivator. Master, do you want to untie my seal tonight and give me a prestige? Bing Ji rubbed up decisively. The little master's accomplishments in the formation path are so profound, he believes that he will be able to lift the seal of meditation. Look for Ming Xiu to solve it. Lum Wan was too lazy to pay attention to him, although Ming Xiu did tell her how to unlock the seal before leaving, but she was not going to let the stinky bird change its shape. Now that the cultivation base is suppressed in the 6th order, I think about going out and jumping all day long. If the strength of the 8th order is restored, it is not certain that I will go out and cause some trouble. Bing Ji instantly looked like a defeated rooster. Hey. It seems that I can't be arrogant tonight, otherwise I'll see how I kill those two 7th order little reptiles. He didn't transmit these words, but said them directly, which immediately caught the eyes of Sinan and the others. There is really any master and any spiritual pet, which is arrogant enough. My evil imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant. Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 227. Not long after, when they arrived at the canyon, they saw the densely packed and orderly monster beasts gathering in front of them. It's still the old rule, I will use the formation to separate the beast tide, and you will kill it quickly. Lum Wan looked at the two figures in the distance. Luo Ye, the 7th order monster is afraid that you will have to contain it. Luo Ye's eyes became clear and he nodded lightly. Sinan swept the sky in the distance, and said lazily, I can contain one. He has left a bad impression on Lum Wan and others before, and now it is more important to reverse the image. The 7th order demon cultivator may not be able to kill it perfectly, but it can still be achieved by stalling or defeating. Okay, you can meet them when they take the initiative to attack. Lum Wan knew that since Si Nan could become the leader of an elite superpower team, his strength would not be bad. More than a dozen teams behind them also followed at this time, and when they saw the densely packed 6th order monster beasts in front of them, they couldn't help but feel a little numb in their scalps. It would be fine if they were alone to deal with a few, but it would be dangerous if they were surrounded by a group. Mutan's eyes showed fear, and he pulled Jiyu's clothes. Do we want to go back to the city first? There are so many 6th order monsters gathered here, and it is difficult to get out of it. Jiyu pulled out her sleeves from her hands, her voice cold. The woman named Lum Wan is not afraid of only the Sword King Peak cultivation base. What are you afraid of? Mutong clenched her fists. She gritted her teeth and stood beside Jiyu and looked at the 4 groups of people not far away. She didn't believe that the foxy woman would not be afraid. She was afraid that Luo Li and others would have to take time to protect them. Definitely a drag. Then let's see how she is not afraid of the law. Jiyu stopped talking, and looked straight ahead. If Luoya and others were caught in the beast tide, it would be too late for them to retreat from this position. Mo Ling Huan hugged his hands and leaned against a big tree, the coolness of his body combined with the night wind blowing slowly, making him look very cold. Head, are Luoya and the others crazy? A team member behind him asked inexplicably when he saw that Luoya and the others did not retreat but swept toward the beast tide. Mo Ling frowned slightly. They're not fools, keep watching. He didn't believe that Luoya and others would take their lives to make a joke. As soon as Lum Wan got close to the herd, he tapped his toes and stood up, and threw the long preserved jade stones one by one toward 14 directions. The monsters here are not only multi-strength, but also very strong. If they only use a 7-star formation, they are afraid that they will be overwhelmed by the beast tide, so she arranged a series of 7-star fire formations. 14 stones fell into the ground instantly, and a trace of spiritual power was entangled. She stretched out her hand, and a flag fell over the formation, and the black flag slowly unfolded like a picture scroll. She walked continuously in a blink of an eye to form a formation in the 6th order monster beast group. Well, what's going on here? What is she doing? Someone behind Mo Ling said in surprise. This woman's skills are too agile. Mo Ling remembered the trapped beast killing method he saw that night. His cold eyes brightened, and he stared at Lum Wan's formation. She will use the formation to help in the battle. Arrangement to help? Are so many monsters useful? A member of the team at the back had uncertain suspicion in his voice. You'll know when you look at it. Mutong saw Lum Wan's agility in movement and was not afraid of the beasts back and forth, with a gloomy and terrifying face, and he couldn't believe it. Does she want to court death? This woman is not simple. Unlike Mutong, Jiyu resented Lum Wan as much. From his own point of view, he could walk through the herd of beasts like no one and survive safely, even if he did not. Her movement technique should be a high-level exercise technique. Seeing Lum Wan so arrogantly moving in the herd, she suddenly felt a sense of powerlessness. It would be a bit difficult to kill today, so she had to with the help of Jiyu's power. Sure enough, after hearing her words, Jiyu's deep eyes moved. Lum Wan arranged the formation and flicked his fingers, and the transparent jade balls on the fingertips rose into the air, echoing the formation. And after she withdrew from the herd, the gathering monsters all rioted. This human woman was simply challenging their dignity. Hoo-hoo, the countless beast roars were deafening, and the monsters looked at Lum Wan with fierce eyes, and rushed towards her with their claws. Get up! Lum Wan's eyes widened and he snorted coldly. Pht! Her voice fell, and countless walls of fire suddenly surged up from the ground to isolate the rushing herd of beasts. She stood on top of a golden longsword in a volley, and punched a few seals in her hand, 7-star fire array binding. Immediately afterwards, I saw the walls of fire surging apart, forming 4 walls of fire to separate the monsters in the beast group, and there were no 4 walls of fire that surrounded less than 26th order monsters. She stepped lightly, and the golden sword under her feet shone brightly, rushing into the fire formation. The golden longsword was instantly divided into 10 flying swords and slashed towards the surrounding monsters. Fijian is like a fish in the water, and fire formation is like a pond for raising fish. The two cooperated to harvest the lives of more than 10 6th order monsters in just a moment. Key. Lum Weian's flying sword attacked the monsters spontaneously as if she had self-consciousness, but she herself was full of fighting spirit, and her jade-like hands were covered with a layer of pale red like glass, and she flew up and waved her fists to meet them, a ferocious and strong monster. My God! My eyes aren't so bad, right? Someone from the dozen or so teams that followed exclaimed, this woman is still strong. Looking at the monsters falling to the ground under her fist, many people couldn't help but feel numb. Is this still a woman? If someone becomes her husband in the future, will he be beaten to death if he is unhappy and punched? Many people stared dumbfoundedly at the purple-clothed heroine who looked like a god of war in the firelight in front of them. Such a violent battle, but it didn't seem at all vulgar and contemptuous. Instead, it was pleasing to watch her disappearing figure. I finally know why Luo Li fell in love with this small country girl, and I really feel it. A strong and healthy man behind Mo Ling swallowed. What a hot beauty, I don't know who is lucky enough to endure it. A thin-looking man next to him shuddered, I feel more sympathetic to Luo Li now, the beauty is fierce. Many people in the field knew that Luo Li had a crush on a small country woman, and now seeing Lum Weian's sturdy style, many people cast sympathetic eyes on him. Luo Li, is that woman in the formation really Lum Weian? Nan rubbed his eyes, afraid that he would see flowers. Luo Li looked proud, of course it's Lum Weian. If you like those delicate women, don't look at them. I don't feel it after seeing too many delicate women, but Lum Weian is a sturdy and violent beauty, I like it. Nan's eyes showed fiery heat. Such a hot and violent beauty can be conquered and challenged enough. My evil imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant. Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 228. Luo Li saw that Nan looked at Lum Weian with incomparably fiery eyes, and his face darkened instantly. He said gloomily, you'd better restrain yourself from that little thought, she's not interested in a little white face like you. How do you know she's not interested? You can't eat meat yourself and still want us to be vegetarians, Nan pouted, fair competition. Fair competition? Get out of your way, shameless. Luo Li pushed Nan with a black face, snorted coldly and jumped into the fire formation and began to kill the monsters. He couldn't give the shameless Nan a chance to approach Lum Weian. Nan raised his eyebrows, this is too jealous, but of course I won't give up so easily if I'm interested. There was a charming smile on his handsome face, and he was still very confident in his own face. Seeing that Luo Ye had also joined the fire formation to kill, the two metamorphosis stage demon cultivators in the distance did not take action, and he jumped into the fire formation without hesitation. Whoever does not earn such points is a fool. There are many people who think like Nan. This kind of fire formation is really a good opportunity to earn points. No wonder Luo Ye and others dare to hunt at night. It turns out that there is a fire formation arranged by Lum Weian. Young master, are we going to go? The team members behind Mo Ling were eager to move. Mo Ling narrowed his eyes and nodded, come on. The hordes of beasts are still gathering, and Luo Ye and the others may not be able to kill them all. Since it's okay to get a piece of the pie, I'll make some compensation for the woman named Lum Weian in the future. Her talent for formation path shocked him very much, and he also had the heart to make friends. Several people got Mo Ling's nod, and quickly rushed into the fire formation to kill the monsters. Mutong looked at Lum Weian's fighting strength so powerful, his face was gloomy with a little trembling, how could this woman have such a profound array? In addition to being shocked, Ji looked at Lum Wan's eyes, which was also mixed with complexity. The woman behind this level of magic was definitely not simple or someone. Prince, let's go to. Seeing that Mo Ling's people had already jumped into the fire formation, the team members behind Ji couldn't hold back any longer. Ji closed his eyes and waved his hand when he opened it. Go. Seeing that Ji and others also joined the fire circle, Mutan stomped his feet and followed. More than a dozen other groups of people also jumped into the fire array to earn points. What made them happy was that those monsters in the fire formation were obviously suppressed by the heat and energy of the fire formation, and the actual combat power they could exert was significantly reduced. No wonder Luo Li and others were able to kill so smoothly. Lum Wan pondered while sieging and hunting. When she saw Mutong's group of people killing happily in her magic circle, she narrowed her eyes dangerously, and her lips showed a sarcastic color. As soon as his mind moved, the jade buried in the ground immediately moved its position, and the fire wall near Mutan and others instantly went out. The trapped monster was confused for a while, roared excitedly, and rushed towards Mutan's group of people. The few people killed easily. The combat power of the 6th order monsters suppressed by the fire formation was actually only equivalent to the 5th order peak, but the heat around them suddenly disappeared, and the surrounding monsters rioted instantly, making them almost seriously injured. Jiu's combat power is the strongest, and it is easy to avoid the crazy riot of monsters, unlike other people who are more or less injured. He looked at Lum Wan, who was standing in the sky with a gloomy face. This woman is a ruthless character. If she is an enemy, she will become a serious problem. She should find a chance to kill it in the competition space. However, even if the fire formation is withdrawn, the beast tide is divided into countless waves, and they can kill many monsters to earn points, so even if they are secretly annoyed by Lum Wan's actions, they can only continue to kill the peripheral monsters in their hearts. Beast. Lum Wan, what do you mean? Mutan was bitten on the arm by a monster. After killing the monster, she glared at Lum Wan, who was watching the play with his arms around her. Lum Wan raised her eyebrows and sneered, "That's what you saw? You want to kill us?" Mutan rolled his eyes and provoked. Lum Wan stretched out a finger and shook it, and said casually, "I'm not interested in the death of them. If they died in the beast swarm, it would be your fault." "What do you mean?" Mutan looked at her resentfully. What did she mean? "Because you are hostile to me and want to kill me at any time, we don't like each other, so the formation will naturally not let you use it. Even if they want to blame you, they will blame you for not seeing your own situation and status." Lum Wan Xiao Xiaoan Ran said, "Sooner or later, your group will be harmed by your domineering temper. What does it have to do with me? Don't forget, you are the first to provoke me from the beginning to the end, and I have an advantage as a person," she said with a stern look in her eyes. "If people do not offend me, I will not offend others. If they offend me, I will send them away." She went to hell to drink tea with Hades. Hearing her words, many people shuddered, and it was really only the villains and women who were difficult to support. No one doubted what she said, even if she smiled so beautifully and touchingly at this time. No one could ignore the coldness in her eyes. "You little bitch," Mutan couldn't help but curse. "Shoot," only her voice fell, and an invisible fiery slap landed on her face, and the crisp sound resounded. She covered her face in disbelief. "How dare you hit me? You can't help being arrogant in my magic circle." Lum Wan sneered. The slap just now was the slap where her fire energy was condensed. Mutan has long been used to being arrogant in the empire and family. Apart from being slapped in the face by that bitch sister, Lum Wan was the second person to touch her. With her previous hatred erupting together, she said with a grim expression, "I'm going to kill you." Yuan Li slammed into the long sword, and the Sword Emperor's middle-level cultivation was full of momentum, and he was slashing at Lum Wan with all his strength. The blue sword chi swept out like a hurricane, with a strong wind element power. Lum Wan laughed lazily, tapped his hand, and drew a seal in the air. Bang! Then a huge wall of fire rolled out, instantly engulfed the hurricane that was condensed by the extraordinary wind energy. Mouton paled in shock. How could this be possible? Her full blow was so resolved by that woman? And the wall of fire did not disappear, and rolled over Mouton's head with lightning speed, trying to engulf her. Mouton, she is the leader in her formation, you don't want to humiliate yourself again. Jiyu jumped to the front of Mouton and swung a golden sword light out, and the wall of fire that erupted rapidly was split in half and wiped out in front of Mouton. No matter what, Mouton is his fiancée. Her arrogant and domineering personality was once his favorite. They already had a relationship as husband and wife. In addition to Mouton's status in the Mu family, it was naturally impossible for him to watch her die. Lum Wan, are you going to have a grudge with us? Lum Wan saw the gloomy murderous intent in Jiyu's eyes. Her fingers were tangled with a strand of blue silk, and her red lips parted lightly. Don't we have a complete grudge? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My evil imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant. Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 229. Don't we have a complete grudge? Lum Wan's voice was quiet and slow, flowing like a spring, with an arrogant and domineering voice. Jiyu gave a low laugh, and said with a hostility, okay, you are really good. A woman from a small and remote country in the eastern region dared to be so arrogant in front of him. He looked up at Lum Wan with a grim look. Do you think this formation can kill us? You can try. Lum Wan looked at him casually while playing with the blue silk in his hands, as if he didn't take Jiyu and others into his eyes at all. It's really crazy. Jiyu beckoned, with two dark golden scimitars in both hands. Luoli killed the last monster in the four walls of fire. With a chill in his eyes, Jiyu, do you dare to touch her? Nan said eloquently, Jiyu, Lum Wan has now been included in the protection scope of this young master. If you want to do it, don't regret it. Although Helianli likes Mingj to protect himself, Lum Wan has become an ally, so naturally he will not sit idly by. Lum Wan and we are already allied. If you want to move her, you have to pass our level first. Luoye didn't say a word, but he had already shown his attitude when he jumped to Lum Wan's side. Although Yunzimo and the others were not as strong as a few others, they were all ready to fight at any time and advance and retreat with Lum Wan. Jiyu's face was gloomy and terrifying. He didn't expect Lum Wan to have such appeal in just a few days. Thinking of the formation she was using now, his eyes flashed a bit of clarity. These people said it was good because of the alliance. I'm afraid now that Lum Wan is dead, he can't help them set up a formation to surround the monsters. Let's go. Jiyu's scheming is not an impulsive person. With these people working together, they have no chance of winning. He was insulted/humiliated by several people today, and he will definitely repay it another day. Mutong wanted to speak, but he was stopped by a cold look. If it wasn't for this woman, he wouldn't be so humiliated. It seems that the position of crown princess is not suitable for her. Others had murderous intentions towards Lum Wan, but also secretly annoyed Mouton. Usually it's nothing to be arrogant in the empire, and they didn't restrain themselves after coming to the competition space. When she saw a swordsman who was not a superpower, she wanted to step on it. Now, not to mention the iron plate, it also made them unable to use Lum Wan's formation to kill the beast tide to earn points like those people. Unwilling to do so, Lum Wan was guarded by Luoye and Nan. They were not opponents at all. If they continued to stay, it would only be more humiliating. Jiyu and the others didn't stop, turned around and returned to the way they came, with humiliating killing intent in their eyes. Lum Wan let go of the tangled blue silk, her eyes were as deep as the sea. This Jiyu will be a tough enemy after he can bend and stretch, Lum Wan said. Mo Yan's cold black eyes were full of killing intent, just kill before the end of the game. Well, we'll do it in a secret place then. Lu Muan nodded, the killing intent in his heart permeated. If you have a grudge with the elite disciples of the superpower, if you don't kill them in the middle of the game, after going out, the Yanzhou kingdom will definitely suffer revenge from Jiyu and Mutong. Of course, she wouldn't be stupid enough to kill a few people in public, just wait until there is a chance to do an assassination, so that the royal family surnamed Ji can't find any reason to restrain the flame universe. Listen to the team below you, I not only need magic tools to set up the magic circle, but also consume Yuanli and medicinal pills. If you want to use my fire circle to kill monsters and earn points, I will not rush you. Lu Muan's face was indifferent and his aura was cold, but you must hand over 2/3 of the monster beast crystal core you get from killing the monster beast as the cost of renting the formation. If you don't want to hand over the crystal core, leave immediately. If you want to be in vain, Sinan's sword will not let you live. Sinan twitched the corners of his mouth. What did he mean by not leaving a living hole under his sword? Why didn't you bring Luo Li and Helian Li? He had found out that this woman was not only obnoxious, but also very careful. Didn't he say a few words to her tentatively that day? As for always remembering to take revenge on him. But he didn't say anything against her. He is very interested in her now, and it's okay to be used as a swordsman. Luo Li fixedly stared at the arrogant and domineering Lu Muan. His eyes were even more fiery. He liked her arrogance and domineering. Mo Ling wanted to make up for one or two, and hearing her say that, he felt that he should. Row. With Mo Ling taking the lead, people from other big or medium and small countries did not dare to object, and they couldn't afford to offend Sinan's moody pervert. Now the points are the most important. Although 2/3 of the monster crystal cores are distressing to them, it is not absolutely necessary. We agree. No one group left, they even wanted to just follow Lu Muan and the other groups. The efficiency of killing the beast tide was much faster than their daytime. Then let's continue. Lu Muan smiled with satisfaction. She smiled movingly, but it made many people jump their eyelids. This woman's face-changing speed is really fast. Because this wave of beasts is composed of 6th-order monsters, even with the help of Lu Muan's formation, it will be time-consuming and laborious. When there was still 1/3 of the monster left, the 2 metamorphosis stage demon cultivators in the air finally moved. Interesting, I have long heard that humans used the formation to find the beast tide gathered by our clan to start, and seeing it today is really extraordinary. A man with a tentacle on his head appeared above the fire formation, staring at Lu Muan with cold eyes. Another burly green-haired man licked the corner of his mouth and laughed. This is the first time I have seen a human swordsman with a physique comparable to that of a monster, and I was thinking of learning it today. The targets of the two were staring at Lu Muan. After watching the battle for so long, they found that this woman was definitely a big threat. In addition, the hand-to-hand combat power she showed also made the two demons interested in fighting with high spirits. Your opponent is me. Luo Ye took a step forward, holding a silver sword in his hand. His tall and straight figure was stretched long under the moonlight. Sinan curled his lips into a smile, and flew up and down to Lu Muan's side, but she was the first to speak when she was about to show it. Okay. I also like to learn the stone skin technique of pushing mountain beasts. The fighting intent in Lu Muan's eyes was no weaker than the two monsters on the opposite side. She just wanted to use the suppressing effect of high-level opponents to break through the bottleneck between the Sword King and the Sword Emperor, so she would be happy to accompany the opportunity that came to her door. Sinan and the others were stunned for a while. He turned his head to look at her with a complicated expression and said, "Don't be rude, leave it to me." Lu Muan saw that the look of concern in his eyes did not seem to be a fake, and he was more responsible and wanted to share for her, and the last bit of resentment towards him disappeared in his heart. "No, I can handle it. If I lose to you, you will be on top." Lu Muan's stunning face burst into a very confident smile. which made Sinan's heart seem to have been hit by something. Haha, what a mad woman, I like it so spicy, it's delicious. The burly man laughed a few times. If you lose, go back with me to be MRS Yazai. Hearing Yao Xiu's words, Luo Li and Sinan's faces instantly turned black. In front of the crystal wall of the central castle, the elders of several sects were still sitting. The handsome man in white sitting on the innermost side heard the big man's words, and murderous intent flashed in his eyes. My evil imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant. Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 230. If you lose, go back with me and be MRS Yazai. The words of the 7th Order Metamorphosis Stage Demon Cultivator resounded throughout the canyon, as if he was certain that Lum Wan would be taken back by him. Lum Wan's beautiful eyes narrowed slightly, and an evil smile raised on her lips. How about we make a bet? Although the burly man is a demon cultivator, he also likes beautiful women, especially a violent and powerful human woman like Lum Wan, who scratches his heart and laughs. What bet? If you beat me today, I will obediently go back with you to be MRS Yazai, but if you lose to me, you will obediently sit as my brother's spiritual pet. Lum Wan's eyes flashed a stern look. How dare you bet? Being a spiritual pet, the burly man's eyes flickered, and then he laughed a few times. Okay, just bet, but you just wait to be my MRS Yazai. He couldn't deal with a human sword master at the peak of the Sword King, and he really spent thousands of years in this space for nothing. Lum Wan's proposed bet surprised everyone else. Lum Yubai frowned in disapproval and stopped. Yanur, I don't need any spiritual pet, don't make fun of freedom. Lum Wan cast a soothing look at him. Brother, don't worry, I never do anything I am not sure of, I have to fight anyway, so it's okay to take a spiritual pet by the way. Lum Yubai's eyes were full of helplessness, but he knew that what his sister decided would not change, so he could only nod his head, but he was already prepared that if his sister lost, he would protect her and leave. Lum Wan, are you crazy? Luo Li angrily moved to Lum Wan's side and pulled her arm to prevent her from coming forward. Lum Wan chuckled and patted his shoulder. Kitten, don't worry, I won't lose. You. Luo Li looked at her firm and confident eyes, and turned his head angrily with a cold snort, but he was extremely worried in his heart. Both Sinan and Helian Li felt that Lum Wan was too big, but it was too late to stop him now. Only Luo Ye's expression remained unchanged, as if he had full confidence in Lum Wan. The little beauty is so loud, then let me see how you win now. The burly man stomped his feet, and the entire canyon space trembled. In Lum Wan's eyes, not only was he fearless, but he had a strong fighting spirit. Okay. As soon as she finished speaking, the burly big man set off first, waving his thick fist and slamming it with a piercing sound. A layer of soft red light covered her hand, and she tapped her toes to meet the fist of the burly man. Boom! After the fists of one person and one demon met, they made a few crisp sounds, and the ground below opened a huge crack due to the impact of the fist storm. The burly man and Lum Wan both used more than 5 points of strength in this punch, firstly for testing, and secondly to seriously injure each other with a single blow. Okay, the fighting spirit of the big man was ignited, and it really surprised him that this woman could take his fist. Lum Wan threw out a quick punch, each punch with scorching fire energy. Boom! The most savage hand-to-hand combat was staged in mid-air, with one person and one monster constantly banging against each other, the loud noises undulating, and the ground cracked open in countless ways. The man with the tentacle on his head looked coldly at the two figures fighting, but he jumped up but was blocked by Luo Ye. Your opponent is me. The tentacled man sneered, since you took the initiative to come, I will give you a ride first. Luo Ye held a silver sword in his hand, and instantly fought with the tentacled man. Sinan looked at Lum Wan and the burly big man who were on a par with each other in amazement. It seemed that he still underestimated Lum Wan, but her frenzied fighting was so beautiful. Luo Li, How about we kill more monsters than anyone else? Sinan's hands were itchy as he was betting ahead. Luo Li withdrew his worried eyes, raised his eyebrows and asked, "What are you betting on?" "If you lose, you are not allowed to stop me from approaching Lum Wan in the future," Sinan said bluntly. "If you lose, you are not allowed to think about her again in the future," Luo Li said without hesitation. Sinan's indistinguishable handsome face smiled brightly. "Okay." So the two jumped into the fire formation, frantically harvesting the lives of the 6th order monsters. Although Luo Li's cultivation is a high-level sword emperor, he has his own characteristics, and his strength in battle is not similar to that of Sinan, who is at the peak of the sword emperor. Above the volley, Lum Wan was punched in the shoulder by the opponent, leaving a streak of blood on his lips. The burly man didn't end well either. After using the stone skin, he was still hit by the opponent's fist with a hot flame. There were many hot pains in his body, and his heart was also burned by the fire energy. His eyes were full of anger, and it was the first time that no one had forced him to do this. After meditating a few words in his mouth, his body suddenly grew bigger, and a layer of gray on his skin quickly wrapped his body. After a while, he looked like a stone sculpture. A flash of brilliance flashed across Lum Wan's eyes quickly, pushing the mountain beast, with infinite strength, rough skin and thick flesh, natural stone skin technique, but has a fatal weakness. The reason why she is so confident that she can win against the burly big man is because she knows the weakness of the petrified monster, but now is not the time to take action. Accept the move. The burly man raised two giant petrified palms and patted it towards Lum Wan. Lum Wan moved his body, took a momentary step while dodging, while wrapping the green mist of his physical strength around his fire energy and covering his hands, using a ghostly movement technique to punch the big man with a punch. Her green sea of fog not only nourishes and promotes growth, but also has the effect of penetrating corrosion. But after all, the big man is only a 7th order demon cultivator. Even though he was suppressed and resisted fiercely at this time, he took the opportunity to slap Lum Wan again. That palm carried a burst of demon power, and after falling, Lum Wan felt distorted in his heart, and a mouthful of blood spurted out. Pushing the mountain beast was punched a few times by her. At the time, it only felt hot and a little painful, but after being forced to retreat a few steps, the skin of the whole body suddenly felt as if it was about to be completely split, a kind of heart-piercing pain. "Come!" "Ah!" The burly man raised his head and shouted a few times in pain, making the swordsmen fighting below couldn't help but look up at them. When the burly man's palm went down, Lum Wan felt that the bottleneck stuck between the Sword King and the Sword Emperor in his body was shattered inch by inch, and the Danshan in his body was running wildly, and began to violently absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. "Good fight," Lum Wan laughed happily, clenching his hands. In an instant, the sky and the earth were surging, and a hole was torn open in the dark night with no end in sight. Countless colorful spiritual clouds were born and fell on the top of Lum Wan's head. One after another, the spiritual power lightning that contained endless spiritual energy descended, and slashed on Lum Wan's body. Not only did her face not change, but she had a hearty smile on her face. Her body was like a sponge, madly absorbing the spiritual energy in the spiritual cloud, and lightning bolts of spiritual power fell on her body, numbing her body, shaping and repairing the meridians of her whole body. What? She actually wanted to use the battle to advance, and she also attracted Lingyun to temper her body. It's crazy. An elder of the 6 major sects in the central castle pointed tremblingly at the crystal wall and was dumbfounded.